A little girl is lying on the floor. When a woman walks by, she grabs the woman's leg. The woman then asks the girl to let her go. The little girl then desperately asks for help, but the woman doesn't care and walks away. The little girl then gets up and says that woman had not passed her test. She sees that someone else was coming and lies down again. A woman was talking on the phone and said she was looking forward to her interview. She said that everything would be fine, as she is very well qualified. At that moment, she passes by the little girl. The little girl tries to hold her, but she stops the little girl from touching her. Again, the little girl gets up and says that there are only bad people in the world. Later, another woman is passing by and sees the little girl lying on the ground. She then becomes concerned and asks if the little girl needed help. The little girl then tries to explain that she needed her air pump. The woman then helps her and gets the air pump for her. The woman asks the little girl to breathe. She asks if the little girl was okay. The little girl then said she was better. The woman asks if she was sure she was fine and asks if she didn't want to go to the doctor, but she says she was fine. The woman then asks where the little girl lived. She said she lived nearby. The woman asks if she wanted her to accompany her, but the little girl said she didn't want to be a bother. The woman said that the little girl didn't bother her, but that she had to go as she was late for an interview. Later, the little girl was looking for something. She then finds a lipstick in her pocket and starts opening it. She then smears the lipstick on her face and then proceeds to rub it in. After that, she starts to apply lipstick on her body. And once again, she rubs it off to make it look like she was dirty. Later, she sees the woman eating something and says she was very hungry. The woman then said that she would give her food to the little girl. She then eats the food and gives it to secure the remaining bones. She then throws the bones at the little girl and starts laughing at her. She then tells the little girl to get out of there. Later, the little girl encounters another woman drinking water. She then asks the woman to give her some water for her, as she was very thirsty. The woman then asks if she wanted water and said she would give it to her. The woman then throws water on the little girl's face. She tells the girl to go away and beg someone else. At that moment, the woman in pink sees the little girl, tells her to wait. She asks, how could the woman do that to her? She then said she would help her. She then takes a cloth from her backpack and says she would clean the girl up. The girl then thanks the woman. The woman then takes an apple and juice out of her backpack for the girl to eat. The girl then thanks him and says that she was very hungry. The woman then said that she had to go as she was very late. The house has tried and sits on the sidewalk and starts to eat the apple. Later in the interview, the woman in black asks if she could ask them a question. She then asks if they really thought she was going to get the job, as she was clearly the most qualified to get the job. The woman in gray says she wouldn't get her spot. She said that she was much more capable than the woman in black, as she had taken several courses. Woman in black then mocks the woman in gray and said that she would not get the job. The woman in gray said the woman in pink wouldn't get the job. The woman in black then agrees, saying that she really couldn't do it. At that moment, the maid arrives and asks if they were there to do the interview. The woman in pink says yes and greets her, but both say they don't talk to that kind of person. Woman in gray then says the maid was not supposed to talk to her. The maid then tells them to stay calm as she was just finishing cleaning the house. She then starts getting ready to clean up and tells the women to stay calm. While the maid was getting ready to clean the house, the two women were complaining about it. The maid then starts cleaning and ends up touching the woman in black. She apologizes, but the woman said she had hurt her foot. The woman in black then says that she couldn't have done that with her new shoe. The woman in gray then said that if that had happened to her, she wouldn't let it go. The woman then gets mad and kicks the maid's bucket. The maid then says that she didn't need to do that and that the two weren't in a good mood. The maid then goes back to cleaning the floor. The woman in pink then said that she would help her, but the maid said that it was not necessary, that soon her interview would begin. The woman in pink says they didn't have to treat the maid that way. At that moment, the man arrives and greets the women. He then said that the interview was about to begin. They then follow the man, but the woman in black said she would go ahead. Employee then looks at women with a contemptuous look. The women then arrive in the room and are soon seated. The woman in gray then laughs and tells the woman in pink to stand up. The man, seeing it here, is very disappointed. He then said he wanted to know more about them. He asks if they had worked with children before. The woman in black says her resume was impeccable. She said that she had been working taking care of children for 3 years. She said that she only worked with very important people, like famous people and very rich people. The man says that this is good news and asks the woman in gray about it. The woman in gray says she has been working with children for over 7 years. She said that she had worked outside and had taken care of the president's son and several celebrities. The man didn't seem to quite believe that she had worked out. He then asks the woman in pink about her. Woman in pink then says that she had never worked with any famous person or gone abroad to work. I then said that I had not taken any courses and that everything she knew about taking care of children, she had learned by taking care of her children and her nephews. Then she said that she learned that the most important thing to take care of a child was love and that she was able to take care of children because of that. The woman in gray then laughs and says that she couldn't be there, since she hadn't taken care of any famous children. She then said that anyone took care of children like that. A woman in black then says that the woman in pink was not fit to work there. The man then begins to recap everything he had heard. He says that one of them had gone abroad. The other had taken care of famous children. And that the woman had taken care of her children. He then said that before deciding who would win the vacancy and he would call a very important person there. He then calls out to his daughter and asks her to enter the room. At that moment, the little girl enters the room and greets her father. The woman in black then said she was a little girl, she was very beautiful. The woman in gray said that the woman in black was very fake and high fives to the little girl. The woman in pink greets the little girl. The girl then asks if her father had seen her air pump. The man says he had seen his daughter's inhaler lying on the floor. The woman in pink then said she would take it, but the woman in gray takes it from her hand. The two women then begin to argue over who would deliver the firecracker to the little girl. The little girl then tells the two of them to stop that. She says they were just there out of interest. I then said that when I was on the street asking for help, none of them wanted to help her. At that moment, the woman in pink remembers who she is, that little girl. The girl then tells the woman in black that when she needed her help, she denied her help. She then said when she had asked her for food, she had only given her the bone. She then said when she needed help, the woman in gray denied her help. She said that when she asked the woman for water, she threw water on her and humiliated her. The two then say that the little girl was lying and that they would never do something like that. At that moment, the maid arrives and says that what the little girl was saying was true. She then reveals that she was, in fact, the little girl's mother. The man then gets furious and tells the two to get out of there. He says they were just auditioning them and none of them had passed. He said they could treat him badly, but they couldn't treat his daughter badly. The woman in black then says that it was all the woman in gray's fault. The woman in gray then said that she was not at fault, He said that the woman in black had treated the child badly. The two then leave the place. At that moment, the little girl calls one of them. They then turn around, and the little girl tells the woman in pink to stay. The woman in gray then says that the little girl must be a lot of trouble and leaves. The woman in pink then asks what the little girl wanted. The little girl then says that the woman in pink was the only one who hadn't treated her badly. She then said when she needed help, the woman in pink helped her. The woman in pink says she just did her duty. The mother says that for that reason, the woman in pink was hired. The woman in pink then said that it would be a pleasure to take care of the little girl and said that she was wonderful.